Hi, I'm Don. I'm glad you're here. Emotional intelligence matters. I mean, why bother making all these videos, and why would you bother watching them if it didn't? You've already heard a good overview of the essentials for understanding emotional intelligence. You've also heard reflections on the significance of emotional intelligence for the work of pastoral care. Our conversation will be about the practical application of emotional intelligence at work, out in the world, live. Now, I have to be honest here, most of my own personal insights around the practical application of emotional intelligence come from, well, getting it wrong. So why don't I spare you a journey through all of those old personal entries, and I've got a better idea. I want to share a conversation I was able to have with someone who has built their business around tools crafted from emotional intelligence. But before I introduce you to Vlad Karpel, I want to tell you how I met him. Later on in the video, you'll hear Vlad mention an employee by name. Alon is a friend of mine who happened to hear me mention the topic of emotional intelligence in the workplace. And he volunteered that his boss is someone who has taken pretty seriously trying to use tools from emotional intelligence to work with both employees and customers, and that he's pretty good at leading by example. He didn't have to say all that. I take my friend to be fairly perceptive and not given to faint praise, so when he volunteered his boss's skills and wisdom in the area of applying emotional intelligence in the workplace, I wanted to hear more. As you listen, I want to encourage you to listen with the knowledge that the person you're hearing from is someone whose long-term employees and coworkers like working with him. Here's Vlad to tell us a little bit more about himself and his companies.
My name is Vlad Karpel. I'm a founder of two companies, Tradespoon and Yellow Tunnel. We have about 6 full-time employees and maybe 10 contractors. The business is helping self-directed investors to manage their own money. So if people want to manage their own money, 401k or stock portfolio or option portfolio, we give them tools, we give them education to learn how to do that. And the Yellow Tunnel, founded in 2018, so just 2-3 years, we also help them deal with trading psychology. So we have a clinical psychologist on staff who is not on staff, but he's a contractor. And we publish weekly blog and weekly webinars that deals with emotional intelligence and trading psychology.
My first curiosity was why Vlad gravitated to emotional intelligence tools in his business. Given my own resume of emotional intelligence misadventures, I was curious whether or not he had gravitated to emotional intelligence tools from a specific positive influence, or whether he'd learned a hard lesson somewhere along the way.
I like psychology from college. I took few psychology, few philosophy courses. So I always had that natural curiosity. Mm-hmm. And then just somebody recommended me a trading psychologist. I did it myself first. I signed up. He does one-on-one training. He has workshops. I signed up, and it really significantly changed my performance as a trader, but also just views in general.
A generous mentor of mine and a good friend, the late Dr. Tom Allerton, was a specialist in adult education. Tom once assured me in a long car ride, one of the many conversations that we had working together, that adults only learn when they want to. It's extremely hard to get adults to learn anything with external motivation. So, with Tom's insight rolling around in the back of my mind, I was curious to hear Vlad say more about his initial interest in emotional intelligence through his own personal desire to improve his own trading.
Yeah. I think you could. I mean, right. I wanted to improve my performance as a trader, and I just, there were some tools that Dr. America explained. He recommended a few books that I started reading on emotional intelligence, and I really enjoyed it first. And then that's kind of the idea came to start a new company with the focus of, trading psychology.
Since this video is about the practical application of emotional intelligence, I wanted to hear Vlad say more about his daily takeaways from the subject. Rather than a discussion of the theory of emotional intelligence, I wanted to hear him talk about the top line practical points that he keeps in mind in the day in and day out interactions that he has as a manager.
I mean, there are a lot of tools. I'm also part of EO. This is entrepreneurial organization here. There's a chapter here in Chicago, and they do teach operating system called entrepreneurial operating system, and big part of it are core values, vision of the company. But they're also teaching tools, that people are your key asset in the company, and emotional intelligence, empathy is a very important tool when you do manage employees. So that's helped me with the management strategy.
Sticking with the theme of practical application, I was curious to know whether or not Vlad had been able to quantify any before and after results since he had gravitated to using tools informed by emotional intelligence. Turns out my instincts were correct that the owner of an investment data and investment strategy firm would be quantifying their results. Oh, and just a helpful note for listening, you'll hear Vlad use the term trading psychology. That's just the language that has developed in the investment world as tools informed by emotional intelligence have been created and used.
I mean, one way is retention, employee retention.
Okay.
Alon would been with us for a few years. Most of our employees, we have very low attrition level in general, and I think emotional intelligence definitely helping. Transparency, open-mindedness, empathy. I think those are great tools. Primarily, I think if I would have to quantify the retention of employees, retention of employees and retention of customers. So we do incentivize our employees. We have a monthly bonus, and it's driven by performance, by retention of the subscribers.
Okay.
Mainly driven by education, and we do use, yellow tunnel content, the trading psychology content, to promote during these consultations. And we do measure the retention, and the retention has improved since we introduced, the concept of yellow tunnel and trading psychology. So this is just one of the few tools that our employers are using to educate consumers.
That's a pretty fundamentally important statistic, though, the retention of customers and the retention of employees that you've invested time and money in. That's a pretty hardcore piece of data.
Definitely. We saw a jump of 10% ever since we introduced one-on-one phone consultations. Most companies charge for them or don't have them. When we introduced them for free, we did see the retention jump by 10%. Creating a workplace where employees enjoy themselves and feel empowered to do their work relatively free of ambient anxiety doesn't just happen by accident. You have to mean to make that happen. I wanted to hear Vlad talk specifically about the strategies that he uses to teach emotional intelligence skills to employees. Here's what he had to say. We do have webinars, so we have weekly webinar. Dr. Maneker usually quarterly. So Dr. Maneker comes quarterly, and I encourage all the employees to listen in on these webinars. Okay. We have weekly webinars where I teach trading psychology, everything that I've learned from Dr. Maneker, the books that I'm reading. I encourage all the employees to participate in those webinars and read the blog that we publish. We have a blog on Yellow Tunnel that Dr. Menaker contributes. I contribute to Alon writes articles. So we do have now a weekly blog where I create a video and Alon helping transcribe it, and we publish the blog. So that's one way employees are learning by actually participating in the blog, and we do have templates for kind of Q&A with the consumers, subscribers.
It probably goes without saying, but it's worth saying. You've probably already picked up on an additional significant detail of the conversation. While we started talking with Vlad about his reliance on emotional intelligence skills for his internal management strategy, he very naturally included in his response the additional detail that emotional intelligence concepts are also a significant foundation for the actual product that he delivers to customers. Now, that's worth mentioning because it's a significant ingredient in Vlad's employee training recipe. Since each employee is expected to exhibit emotional intelligence skills in the workplace and to deliver content based on emotional intelligence skills to customers, each employee is both a learner and a teacher. Now, anyone who's ever taught anything will tell you that the best way to integrate one's own learning around any topic is to teach that knowledge to someone else. So it's easy to see how Vlad has had such measurable improvement in both customer and employee retention from his reliance on emotional intelligence tools. Once you hear him describe the integration of the employee roles of learning and teaching in the routine course of workplace expectations.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and we encourage all the employees to either watch passively webinar or actively writing either blog in case of Alon or email templates in case of employees. And then even if Alon writes a blog, then we encourage all the employees when they do answer subscribers or consumers' questions, whether it's on chat or on one-on-one consultation, to use the contents that we've created, the blog, the videos, as a guides for helping subscribers.
Just as a workplace fluent in emotional intelligence doesn't happen by accident, becoming a business owner and manager fluent enough in emotional intelligence concepts to want to teach them to employees and to know enough to be able to do that doesn't just happen casually either. I asked Vlad to share a few of his own favorite resources in addition to the seminars that he mentioned earlier, in case anyone would like to know more about what he has found helpful in his practical application of emotional intelligence concepts and tools.
I would invest into reading. There are a lot of good books that I've read. So I would encourage everybody who's interested in emotional intelligence and implementing emotional intelligence to read the books. And some of them are general. Psychology of Money, Crucial Conversations, emotional intelligence, Thinking in Small Bets. Those are my favorite books that I usually quote during these webinars.
That'll be helpful. So I'm curious if your employees have a favorite quote of yours that you hear them quoting you about this stuff, or they may not do that in front of you. I don't know. Have they been transparent enough with you to let you know that?
I do quote empathy. It's not a saying, but just, use empathy when you deal with conflict or difficult situation. The other one is that I'm quoting a lot is that it takes one personality to make money, and it takes totally different type of personality to keep the money. There's a well-worn saying that time is money.
For someone in the financial industry, that dynamic is often far more visibly true from moment to moment. So please join me in expressing gratitude to Vlad for so generously sharing his time to talk about his experiences in the pursuit of an emotionally intelligent workplace. And thank you for your time as well. Oh, I did ask Vlad one more question that I always include when I get an opportunity to interview an expert on anything. What did I not know to ask you that you think it might be helpful for viewers to hear? Here's Vlad one more time.
I think just emotional intelligence can help you build a more productive work environment where people can reach, work as a team and achieve better results.
Well, there you have it. Employees who have taken to heart the habit of leading with empathy, and customers who are developing the self-awareness to differentiate the emotional experience of making their money from the emotional experience of managing their money. Come on, you got to agree. That's a way better example of the practical application of emotional intelligence than meandering through the marshes of my past mistakes. Thank you for your time. It's been fun to chat with you.